Good day, friends and fans. Welcome to Dave Talk Stuff Ukraine War update for the 27th of May 2026. I'm your host, the author David Applegate, continuing to bring you reliable news from both sides of the war without fear or favour. Now, the dynamics in Ukraine are continuing to change and will continue to change. The war is making an impact and increasing desperation by people desperate to win at any cost has led them to believe that they can make statements they can't back. And of course, they make now threats. The Ukrainian drone commanders made threats, published threats in Ukraine Pravda and other outlets, and frankly, they've been met with laughter. And of course, drone attacks from Russia, but the drone attacks from Russia were coming anyway, but they continue, and several missile attacks on Ukrainian positions like Dnipro and other areas, including Odessa, with lots of fires. Now, in the Sumy front, there's been lots of activity on the buffer zone, as well as Russia occupying Zapila and Rezin in Sumy Oblast. In other areas, the war continues, and remember, Ukraine claimed to have liberated all of this territory here in the north, and now claiming at the same time they're fighting, well, here as well. So how could you have pushed the Russians back here, liberated the town here, yet be fighting here? It's almost if they just produce propaganda daily now, isn't it? But for Russia, the war continues, the grind continues, the push into Kupiansk yet again, and fighting continues in other areas. As we go down the map, we find fighting in the usual areas with no results. Fighting continues at Lyman, small movements but nothing significant near Kravdaluka, and Kravdaluka itself remains in Ukrainian control. And in other areas, Russia is pushing, but push as they might, there seems to be no tangible results, or in other areas, small results. No major town has fallen. They have pushed around, but not into other areas. However, Nova has almost fallen, although it has almost fallen for a while now, with Russia pushing on Salvatina down here at the reservoir on the outskirts of town or wall city. Now, in other areas, there is almost no movement or very little movement. But as you can see, the Russians have pushed through and continue to push in other areas. But so far, the battle remains a slow grind, with Russia having a slight advantage over Ukraine. As Ukraine slowly loses territory, they just slowly decline, but the decline is almost inevitably going to continue for some time because they don't want peace. They think Russia will run out of steam and then they could turn around and fight them and push them back to Moscow. And Napoleon made it. Hitler almost made it. They seem to have this dream of glory where they are the center of Europe. Europe does appear to want Ukraine at any price and want to for. So it is a contest not just of military might, in which Europe has decided the military strategy is liberalism, and that liberals must prove through might that they're right, even though for the last 70 years liberals have been screaming about authoritarianism and militarization of politics. And of course, colonialism and such. This channel is sponsored by you, the very audience. Empire Valves, that's one word, Empire Valves, myshopify.com. That's empirevalves.myshopify.com, your one-stop shop for artifacts based on my writing. These will touch your heart, inspire your imagination. Russia, of course, has changed its equipment yet again, bringing the BMP Terminator through the front line to deal with drone attacks as they engage in urban assaults. Drones and manned portable missiles pose a significant threat to Russian tanks. Now, that doesn't mean they intercept missiles, but predominantly they are to detect and neutralize drones, as well as neutralize troops before they can get off a shot. The idea is to outrange the Ukrainian troops with the BMP while issuing suppressing fire as well, while the Russian tanks advance to bring up the troops to push the Ukrainians out. It does sort of look like a drone, but I assure you it is a manned tank for now. But there are drone versions of tanks, but we have not seen many of them. Now, as I said, I have not suggested, I have not exaggerated. The Ukrainian drone commander has warned Belarus's leader that they have identified 500 targets and that they will basically use them, claiming the self-proclaimed Russia. They've basically Ukraine has decided to align itself and assist the Belarusian opposition party, which of course has Lukashenko threatening retaliation, and Ukraine says we're going to blow you up, that you're barking, and that we're going to do not stick in Ukrainians' core. We're planning systemic strikes on targets, and of course pointed out that 9 of the 13 Russian oil refineries that have been attacked by Ukrainian drones, claiming they've permanently shut them down. No, they've reduced capacity, but it's still enormous and still making a profit, and that Ukraine exaggerates its little victories. And Zelensky claims to be preparing measures, including targeting Belarus, to expand the war. So Zelensky's expanding the war. Yep. Prepare measures targeting Belarus, claiming that Russia can use it as a platform to expand the war. Now, no, you're the ones. You're the ones expanding the war. You're the ones targeting Belarus. That's your action, not Russia's action. But everything, they've got to frame everything as, we're just responding. How can you take it any other way? Right? But these are nothing but dumbasses who think they're clever by blaming Russia for everything. I mean, you just come off as delusional. Well, we stubbed our toe. It's Russia's fault. We've got to target Belarus because they're not our allies. Even, well, you should. Then why do you care? Oh, yeah. Again, if Russia was doing this to you, you'd blow them off the map, and you'd be justified in blowing them off the map. If they were interfering with America, you just drop a nuke on them. Well, technically you wouldn't, but I'm saying the equivalent, you'd hammer them. So why do you complain when Russia hammers Ukraine for interfering in its affairs? Or Ukraine is told to back off and Ukraine says, well, don't get stuck in our quarrel. You're the ones who stuck your nose in the Belarusian politics. America would not stand for it, so why should any other country stand for it? Why is Ukrainian interference good and Russian interference bad? It's one or the other. Interference good or interference bad, not selective. After all, many complain about Israel. And yet, at the same time, Democrats complain about Israel and then go courting rich Jews. And rich Jews, like gullible guppies, keep falling for the trap that if they don't support the Democrats will continue to pressure them. So eventually, Russia's saying, no, we're not going to play that game. We're going to just fight back. And that has all the Democrats upset. So why should we care about Ukraine and the Democrats or liberal establishment's games in Ukraine? Now, there's been talks between Russia and the US to end this war, to particularly pointing out, Lavrov and Marco Rubio have spoken about Ukraine's attacks. Statements have been made and exchanged. There's been a brief statement put out that tension would be continuing. That strikes will be continuing and tensions have risen, and that to ensure the safety of diplomats in Ukraine, that they should withdraw from the capital. Now, Ukraine's claimed this is a threat. No. If Russia's pointing out that if it strikes the Ukrainian capital with a large-scale attack, diplomats will be hurt. And they're warning ahead of time to basically, we'll start considering evacuation. The State Department, of course, wants to work with Russia to end the war, diplomatic missions in each other's territories. And, of course, they also discuss Cuba and the Strait of Hormuz. Russia's linking peace in several regions, all to the situation in Iran and Ukraine, and suggested that Washington is willing to play a role in ending the conflict. All diplomatic talk for yakety yak. So Russia and India have increased trade, and as you know, a lot of that is military and oil. I mean, India seems to be increasing its air defences. Again, pardon me. Again, we've seen in the past India making purchases and then pressuring Pakistan. Pakistan has also made purchases from China. Yeah, it's a proxy war, a growing proxy war, a growing tension over control of India, in which Russia has tried to put pressure on India through through Pakistan. Russia is putting pressure on China to back out of its traditional allies. It's all competition turning heated. BRICS is a house of cards. And we have conflict in Sumni. As I said, the Russians have made advances. And, yeah, now they've said to have intercepted and destroyed long-range missiles and carried out operations that have captured 2 towns here in Sumni. Pretty much the buffer zone has increased. They've taken territories to put pressure on Ukraine to further divide their forces, which is meant to draw troops off the front line. And that's the state of the war. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please support the channel. You support me on Shopify, Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books. I appreciate each and every one of you. All my links are in the link tree, description below, in my profile, or scan the QR code on the screen. See you in the next video, and bye for now.